Hello, and welcome to the video. Today, I want to talk about 3 financial decisions I made in my 20s that I truly am incredibly grateful for, right? In financial terms, these have made all the difference. And although they're very personal to me, I do think there are some bigger lessons that can be learned from this. So if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s, I really hope this advice can be helpful. Let's get going. The first financial decision I made that made a huge difference was deciding to move, live, and work in China. Now, I completely appreciate this is not something that everyone can do. Right, moving to another country is a big deal. It's a big change. But there is a bigger message here, and that is the idea of choosing somewhere to live that has a lower cost of living, or even living below your means, or even just like using geography as a financial strategy, which I think is something that's very often overlooked. I moved to China when I was 22, and I enrolled in a language course in Shanghai at Jiao Tong University. And it was through this language course that I met a friend. He introduced me to a company, and I ended up getting a job out there. I stayed living in Asia for 9 years. And the most important thing here was that I had a Western salary, even though I was living in Asia, which meant that the difference between my salary and the cost of living was huge. And it meant that I had lots of disposable income, which meant that I could pay off debts. It meant that I could save lots. But really importantly, it allowed me to have a great time, right? Big part of your 20s is to have fun, right? It's a fantastic decade to have fun, but also build that foundation to then grow upon in your 30s. And having this difference in my salary and the cost of living meant I had lots of disposable income, and I could go out, go to a club or a bar, buy drinks for other people, and it would cost a fraction of what it would have cost in the UK. So I could have a lot of fun. It was fantastic. So I cannot suggest enough, think about where you're currently based, right? Could you be a little bit further out of the city, save a bit more money? Could you move to another country which has a lower cost of living, right? Think about how you can use geography as a financial strategy, because for me, it was absolutely massive. Now, to be completely open, I am not a millionaire. I am not a financial guru who teaches people how to get 6-figure salaries and things like that. But I am 32 now, and I feel like I'm in a very comfortable financial situation, right? I've got a good salary. I've built up quite a lot of savings, very minimal debt, and a big part of my financial goals is about being financially free, right? Financially independent. And I feel like I'm now at a position where I am starting to get that, which is an amazing feeling. And I think a big part of that comes from point 2. And point 2 is that in my 20s, I really focused on debt. So I was very fortunate. When I moved to China, I pretty much only had my student loans as debt. And I think I paid off my student loans maybe when I was 26, 27, something like that. Now, there are times when debt can be good, right? Or maybe not good, but debt can be useful. It's part of the journey, like getting a mortgage for a house, for example. But I think it's safe to say that in general, debt is a bad thing, and we should try and avoid it as much as possible. And that's why when I was in my 20s, I really focused on taking this extra money and using it to pay off debt. And very importantly, limit myself from getting new debt. So as soon as I got any debt, I tried to pay it off as quickly as possible. Because for me, it's all about financial freedom, right? Being able to make the right choices and things like that. And I feel like debt is the ultimate antithesis of freedom, right? It's very difficult to feel free when you're in debt. And really importantly, a big part of building wealth and finance is like making the right decisions at the right time. And I feel like when you have debt, you can't make those right decisions at the right time because you're always going to have that in the back of your mind. If you can try and limit that debt as much as possible, you're going to be able to make clearer financial decisions, and that's just amazing. And the third financial decision I made in my 20s, which was huge, a bit of a strange one because it's arguably not a financial decision, but it was that I met my wife. Now, obviously meeting my wife was not a financial decision, but we very quickly realized that we had the same financial goals and we had the same strategy on how to get there. And that is so, so useful. I know so many people who have made poor financial decisions or they've lost money because of their partner. Maybe it's because their partner has expensive tastes, or maybe their strategies don't align and they start doing silly things, right? I even have a friend who was completely crippled financially by his own parents, okay? I'm going to make a separate video on that because I think there's so much you can learn from that story. But the point is, the relationships we have a massive impact on our ability to create wealth. With my wife and I know that she supports my financial decisions. And this means that if I have a financial goal and I have steps to achieve them, I can confidently go after each step without worrying about if I'm going to let someone down or whether she disagrees with me or whatever. And that, in terms of peace of mind, is absolutely huge. There is a quote, I think it's Warren Buffett, maybe not, I think it is. And it's something like, your partner has the biggest impact in whether you're successful or whether you're not. Or that's not the quote, it's something like that. Basically the idea that if you have a partner who supports you, it's easier to start building that wealth. If you have a partner that does not support you, it's almost impossible to start building that wealth. So maybe something to consider. Now, obviously, I'm not telling you who you shouldn't be dating, but if you are in a relationship and your financial goals don't align, something to think about. If you're dating or you're trying to find a partner, also something to consider because it does have a huge, huge impact. So there we go. That's all I've got for you today. I hope that was helpful. If you're in your 20s and 30s, I hope some of those points resonated with you and will help you on your journey. It's been great talking to you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.